What is up? Now that's a fucking intro, right? What is going on, everyone out there in the YouTube community? Tell me if you like that one. If we have anybody here in the chat that you liked an intro was a little bit too much, I'd love to hear what everybody thinks of that one. But I literally just did that before we came on live here. I wanted to do something special for my birthday. And if you don't know, today is my 48th. So appreciate everyone who hops on the stream, whether you're here for 5 minutes, 2 seconds, 3 minutes, or the whole show. I want to give you guys a big shout out for joining me tonight, and everybody who has wished me a happy birthday. I truly appreciate it. And I do appreciate everybody in this community for, everybody who's a good person. Let's put it that way. There's been some really nasty stuff that has been going on in the YouTube comic community lately, but we're going to steer clear from that. This is all positivity tonight. In fact, I thought I'd take some time tonight to basically reminisce about my past 7+ years on YouTube. I want to show you tonight some of my favorite things in my collection. All right. And of course, like always, we're going to talk anything you guys want to talk about. We're going to take requests. We're going to take any questions you guys might have. And we'll talk about anything from comics to cards to nostalgia, arcades, anything you guys are into. And even though I know most of you guys want to talk comics, and I'm here for it, right? I do have some things in the works that I don't want to talk about yet, but believe me, things are coming. I do possibly want to do a giveaway tonight. We're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. But let me say hello to, if we have a few people in the chat. So first and foremost, JSS Brooklyn, one of the nominees for the Blue Wrench this year. Make sure you guys, obviously the voting is over. So JSS, one of the best in our community for supporting everyone else who does YouTube. So JSS, thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate it. Suck a horn. What is going on? Dope intro. Thank you very much, man. I thought that was cool too. For all the wrestling fans out there, to me, Y2J's entrance, especially the original when he first came out in the WWE, was bar none one of my favorite entrances of all time. Eddie's tucked in textiles. What's going on? Bring on Darth niggas. If Darth wants to come on, he's more than welcome. He's a good dude. So Darth, if you're out there and you want to jump on, and by the way, folks, all right, their link is in the chat. If somebody wants to come on tonight, you're more than welcome to come on. So as long as you're respectful and as long as you're a good person and as long as I know you, even if I don't know you and I don't recognize the face that comes on and you're not here to start drama, like you want to come on and talk comics or collectibles for a little bit, I'm all for it. Love that. Horvath, I can't even pronounce that, so I apologize. Happy birthday, Joe's. I don't know who Joe's is, but that's all right. I'll take the birthday wishes. Appreciate that, man. Patel Philippe with the $2 super chat. Thanks so much. Happy birthday, brother. What's entry price point for Tech 31? Wow, you're starting off hot tonight with that one, brother. We'll get to that in a minute. I am going to answer that question, but let me say hello to everyone before I go into it. So Horvath says a 10K for a 0.5. I think it's got to be more than that because again, let me say finish first, and then Charlie D says happy birthday. What's going on, brother? And Phil, another long time channel supporter. Phil, of all of us in the community, not just me. Phil is always there. I always see him in the comments. So happy birthday! Thank you very much, Jeffrey Fonzo. What's going on? You remembered my birthday. It's in December, but it's the thought that counts, brother. Happy birthday in December. Hopefully, I remember when we get to December. Horvath says GI Joes. I got you. Now I got you, brother. I thought you were calling me Joe. No, brother. Thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate that, man. 48 is tough, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Once you hit 40, it is literally all downhill. At least physically for me, it was. So Horvath wants to know where are all the Joes tonight? Who are all the GI Joe fans out there? Hell, 80s cartoon fans. We'll broaden that, right? Because we all love that stuff. But I want to answer Patel's question. Marcelo, thank you very much, brother. I really appreciate that, man. I want to answer Patel's question because he did the $2 super chat, and I want to announce some stuff before we move even further. But so from having a Tech 31 in my collection for like a long time, I will say this. I've kind of shifted my focus across from restored books to only Blue Label books. So if you're going to go into Tech 31, really you want the cover to be there. So 0.5. A lot of the 0.5s out there, if you go on the census, I believe it's like literally 90 something Tech 31s on the census only. So how many are Blue Label? How many are 0.5? I don't even know. But I would think you'd want a 1.0 or higher. And that's like, I think I saw like a 1.0 on YouTube, on eBay for like forever for like 70 something thousand. So yeah, it is not cheap, my friend. It is not cheap. If you want to go the restored route, again, I'll be full disclosure. I had a 5.0 CBCS copy that I did partial cash and no, I did full trade, but I was able to sell the books that I got in trade for around 50. So keep that in mind. I don't think you're getting one for cheaper than that. Forget 10K. I don't think that's possible. If you find one for 10K that has a cover, that's the thing. If you get a coverless, I'm going to say, why go ahead and buy the book at all? Because the whole thing about that book is the cover. So you want to get one with a cover. If you could find a 0.5 with a cover, even if it's a little messed up, I don't even care. Just to own it, I would do it. But I don't think it's got to be way more than that. For a Blue Label, unless maybe there's an incomplete out there somewhere, but I don't know. That's a really hard question. Lawrence, my dude, happy birthday. Thank you very much. I'm not even gonna, that is a freaking big ass name. Arc, oh my God. Archie Luxury Live Stream. All right, I think I got it. That's a tough one, all one word. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. Okie dokie toast. That is another great name. Happy birthday, King. Thank you so much. Horvath agrees, definitely needs a cover. Why buy the book if you don't have the cover? I agree with that. Big up the mighty man, Dem. Happy birthday. Thank you so much, my friend. Fatal 007. What's going on, man? How are you? Glad to see you on here. Appreciate all the love. I know Swag 9.9 and a bunch of other guys are doing a live stream of their own. We did not plan this to do this separate, but I wanted to jump on here for my birthday. I wasn't going to lie. Some people are asking me to do a live stream, and I knew it's my birthday. I had some cake with the family earlier, so I want to jump on here and share my love with everyone out here in the community. But another member for 1 month from Patel for Leaf. For anybody who wants to claim it, mighty message. I'm into the fake Tatas, Lawrence. So like, let's say it's a 3.0 restored. What's the damage do I got to end of my subscription to afford one? What? Member for 1 month level, mighty message. I'm into the fake Tatas, Lawrence. So I like them too. Don't get me wrong. So it's like, let's say it's a 3.0 restored. What's the damage? Do I got to end my subscription to afford one? No. Subscription here is like $1.99. So I think you're 100% fine. But 3.0 has got to probably run you about 30, depending on the level of restoration. And I'm just basing that off of the fact of my 5.0 getting around 50,000 in value. So a 3.0, depending on the restoration, as long as there's no trimming, as long as there's no anything ridiculous, like a ton of work that was like basically the whole cover is not even the whole cover type of thing. I would say it's probably going to roughly around 30. But again, that's your call. For me, I've kind of shied away from the restored stuff now. I did have 3 restored books in my collection. Now I have 0, but that's just my preference. There are plenty of people out there who are okay with restored. Me, I like to have definitive value when it comes to that stuff. So I think Blue Labels, there's always going to be a definitive value where depending on the restoration for restored books, the value kind of really fluctuates. And depending on when you're selling it, your return could be either, in the doldrums, or it could be better than you anticipated. I just, at this point in my life, I don't want to take that chance. Ah, Archie is the watch timepiece fellow. I got you, brother. Looks like I was way off, likely 30 now for a 0.5. 20K was last sale in 2020. See? I do know some stuff, guys. I'm not that, but still, like anybody who wants to go out and own one of the premier books in the comic industry, I'm never going to say don't do it, right? If that's something you want and that's something you want to achieve in your goals for collecting, go for it. I just try to give you all the information that I possibly can give you from my experience, right? I've owned one and I've owned a restored one. So I want to be able to share my experience with you. Another $2 from Patel Philippe. Rank issue 2 best to worst. Daredevil, ASM, X-Men, Hulk, FF. We're talking about the #1 issue, or, rank issue 2. Oh, shit. That's a lot harder. That is a lot harder. Well, ASM 2 is the first appearance of the Vulture. X-Men 2 is second appearance of basically most of the X-Men. Hulk 2 is not really a key. FF2, yes, second appearance of FF. Worst, Daredevil 2 is also that second appearance of Electro. So for me, I'm going ASM 2 first all day long, because you have the first appearance of a major villain, which is the Vulture. It's also the third appearance of Spider-Man. So to me, that's #1. After that, it gets a little bit iffy. For me, I'm going X-Men #2, because I think that's a bigger issue. There's still big second appearances in those books. I'm not actually, it's not Professor X though. Professor X is X-Men 4, I believe, along with first Wanda and first Quicksilver. So I'm still going X-Men 2. And then we can kind of divvy it up between FF and Daredevil. They're kind of like a close call. I'm going to go with FF because I think it's a more valuable book. And then DD2 only because it's the first appearance of Electro. And I'm going Hulk last there. But to me, it's far and away ASM. I'm not saying that because I'm an ASM guy, but it's got a major first appearance villain. It's also the third appearance of Spider-Man, which is, to me, a top 2 character of all time. Great question, though, dude. Those are the questions that I like the buying questions, but that's a good one because it's like, if you want to own second appearances, Patel has brought this up before, that I don't want to overpay for seconds. So to me, if you can get them all these books on the cheap, and the most expensive one, in my opinion, would probably be ASM 2. X-Men 2 might give them a run for its money, depending on the grade. But that ASM 2, because it's a great first appearance, is probably going to be the most expensive. That's a guess on my opinion. That's a guess on what I'm saying, is what I mean. Fatal 007. In your opinion, what is the better long-term collectible investment? Pokemon cards or blue chip keys? So me having no Pokemon experience, because I'm not a Pokemon guy, but I got to tell you something. I'm extremely impressed with the fact when these cards came out when I was, like a teenager, and now obviously the lasting power is there. Yeah, they might have really slowed down at one point, but the resurgence that Pokemon has had, let's call it, Vlad, the last 5 years, has been insane. So much to a point that it's really dominated the collectible space. So I hate to say this, even though I know nothing about Pokemon, I'm going to say that's the better way to go right now. However, the fact that they're incredibly hot right now, I would shy away from spending a crazy amount of money now. Maybe when they kind of die down a little bit. But again, I'm not in that space. I don't know much about that space. But the craze right now, and the fact that they've been around for 20 years and they're going strong, and they're really dominating the collectible market right now, it makes me think that they're going to be around for a really, really long time. And it's not just adults. There are kids that love these things as well. So comic wise, especially vintage comics, there's not a lot of kids. So that's my thing. I think they have a longer lasting shelf life because of the child factor. Great question though, Fatal. FF2 has a nice yellow cover. That it does. That it does. But I got to be honest, even though I love Kirby, FF to me wasn't his greatest work. I always said the Hulk 1 cover to me is Jack Kirby's greatest work, from creativity to the artwork to the blue background and a plain background. I've always loved that cover. FF12 I've talked about numerous times is the FF cover that I want to own because it's so iconic to me. But ASM to me was the clear choice there. JSSS says, my general advice is no trim books. Restored otherwise are open to repair. to get them to blue, depending on the amount of restoration, but we have great people in the comic book nation to fix it. So I'm glad that JSS brought this up, okay? Because I was planning on showing some of my most prized possessions in my collectible things, all the things that I collect, and you guys can see I collect a ton of shit. So why don't I just show you the one? And I recently just showed it on a video that I did that I got back from the great Kenny over at Sanderson Studios. Is my Superman #1. Okay. So this is one of my prized possessions in my collection. Yes, it's coverless. This is a reproduction cover, but the reproduction cover is awesome. Okay. This is a purple label with pieces added, tear seals, all the good shit. There was no trimming and there was no like major restoration. Okay. He was able to turn this into a blue label for me. And it's been worth it. It's added value to my collection. And like I said in the video that I put out, is that it basically gave this book a defined value. And not that I really care because it's Superman 1. It's not like a regular, you know, just like a non-key issue. It's a big key issue. Granted, it's missing a cover, which is fine. Still has some value. But to me, to get this to blue, I think more collectors out there would find this book more desirable. Does that make sense? Right? I think I would as well. So that's why I did it. It wasn't a crazy amount of money. And that's the way, like, if you're going to buy restored books on trying to turn them blue, a lot of them can be. Again, the trimming and the major work that has been done to books, that may be an undertaking. It might cost you a fortune to get rid of all that stuff, or may not be able to even have done, right? We might not even be able to get it off. So this had, you know, a minimal amount where I thought it'd be worth it. And to me, that made it worth it trying to have it removed. All right. Thank you, JSS. Hulk 2 is the first Green Hulk and the first Toadman. So you're right. It is the first Green Hulk. I did forget about that, but at the end of the day, to me, that's not a big enough key. I still rather own Hulk 1. And again, the other ones I mentioned, it's not a big enough key for me to spend the money on. I've never owned 2 through 6, that first initial run. I've never owned any other copies outside of, you know, owning Hulk 1. FF2 is first scrolls, but again, at the end of the day, not a major key. To me, that's not a major key. And you could tell by the way the MCU was with the scrolls, not a major key. None of those books took off. None of those books went anywhere. Again, First Vulture is a highly desirable book. That's why it's always going to be #1. And the X-Men are such popular characters that I think I have to put that at #2. Anything outside of that, we can have a conversation about, in my opinion. But again, this is opinionated, guys. It's not, I'm not, you know, I'm not the end all to be all to all these questions. Chef, what's going on, brothers? Thanks for popping in. Thank you so much, my friend. Mercury, what's up, Mighty? How's your weekend? And was curious what you're currently reading right now. So I actually talked to, I saw somebody at my LCS this week and recognized me, said, hey, I really appreciate your channel, love all that stuff. So shout out to him. But he was asking me the same question. And I told him the same thing. Like, I read like trade paperbacks. If I'm going to read something, it's very rare that I buy a floppy, even though I will say I did just pick up, while I was there, along with my Mark Spears blind bags, which we are going to do here today as well. I have 5 of them. There's a new Masters of the Universe out, which the Sword of Flaws. So they're introducing a new sword to the Masters of the Universe lore. So I picked that up because I did want to read about it. See if it's going to keep my interest, because a lot of the new Masters of the Universe stuff is just way out there and not really up to my speed, but this seemed like a good enough, I don't want to say good enough story, but a good enough jumping on point to this new series to see what this new sword is all about. And I flipping through the book, I actually like the artwork a lot. So kind of reminiscent of the 2000 X line if you're a Masters Universe fan. So I decided to pick that up. Another cool thing that I picked that up from Zap, this iconic cover by Todd McFarlane. They had on the shelf for $20. Now, for me, this is why I love my LCS, because not only are they incredible people, they have incredible books for amazing prices. And this is a really high grade copy of this book, and they had it for $20. And this is a classic cover. I would like to actually send this to Todd to get him to sign. I don't want to really send anything to CGC to do it, but to me, this is like a forgotten cover. Like, we don't talk about this enough. We talk about a lot of his great stuff, a lot of the stuff that appears on the weekly list that we do, but that one, with everybody in that one, iconic. Human question. How did you celebrate your birthday? Now that's important. Thank you, JSF. Honestly, I'm a low key guy, and I didn't really do much this morning. I was working on some video stuff. My son had a basketball game at 3:30, and then we kind of hung around until my family came over. We had some pizza and some cake, chatted for about an hour and a half, and that was it. That's it. We just hung out, nothing crazy. As you get older, as most of you guys know, it's all about the kids. So I'm just glad I'm here for another year doing the stuff that I love, at least with the comic stuff anyway. So that's what I'm really going for right now. Patel with another great super chat. Thank you so much, Patel. I really appreciate your generosity. FF1 was most expensive Silver Age key in the early 80s. Why has it fallen from grace? I just think as people have gotten older, the FF themselves have really not taken off. People, some people probably blame some of the movies they came out, but I don't think it's that. I just think the characters themselves, don't forget, they were really highly motivated by the 60s, that book. And they really never like expanded the characters. Maybe in the comics a bit, but never as far as pop culture. Think about how many movies Spider-Man had, or TV shows, or cartoons, right? So they expanded the character. The character kind of grew with age as people got older. They really never did that with the FF. So like that's why I think, in my opinion, it really hasn't gone anywhere over that time frame. And characters like Spider-Man, Batman have taken off. Especially during the 80s, right? Those are the two popular characters and still are today. Even Superman to a point in the 80s kind of took off, and the X-Men as well with Claremont's run, all the great stuff that came in the 90s as well. So FF, those books really not sought after, and that's why I think they kind of lag behind. Again, FF5, I do agree, is the exception because of the first appearance of Doctor Doom. He's the greatest Marvel villain. It's not even close. So I just think that you're going to see that book do something after they have Robert Downey Jr. as as Doctor Doom. I do think that that's going to help the character, help the books, so on and so forth. I do think so because honestly, we've seen Doctor Doom twice now in movies, and they still haven't done him absolutely correctly. So I'm hoping Marvel gets it right. I know there's going to be a big twist because it's Tony Stark's face, but I feel like they're going to get this right. They're not going to screw up. I mean, how many characters has the MCU really screwed up, like in film? MCU, not Sony. I'm not talking about Sony because they fuck up everybody, but the MCU. How many characters you say, wow, that's way off. That's nothing like the comics. And Guardians of the Galaxy, they're nothing like the comics, but I will say this. They did that in a positive direction. They actually made those characters more likable. So I don't think the MCU really killed any characters. So I do think they're going to do this one right as well. Mr. Sanderson, 100% is the best. No question, in my opinion. There are other people out there that I've heard are really good as well, but I can only speak for Kenny because he's had my book. Thank you, my friend. Kenneth Bird, how are you, my friend? Thank you for joining me today. It is my birthday, my friend. The big 4-8. Does this look infected? Thank you so much, my friend. I haven't seen you in a while. Donna is looking great for 48. I got to tell you, man, she is just the spitting image of beauty. I don't know if Donna's ever going to make a return. She almost came back last week. I saw somebody say something about me that I almost went to the YouTube and filmed something, and I said, you know what? Let this one go. So it is what it is. It's all good. Trying to make the channel into something better, so I don't really want to respond to haters and stuff like that, which is fine. Super chat from another one for Patel. Thank you, Patel. Wait, what top 10 key will sync most soon? Tail Suspense 39, Jim 83. Wow. I wouldn't say any of those two. They're too important of a book to sink. I think if they sunk, they've sunk already. Like Silver Age is really taking a beating. That's a really tough question. If we're talking about Silver Age stuff, I think everything has really come back into frame. I don't really see any books really tanking. I really don't. I think most of the damage has been done. And if you're a long-term holder at this point, I definitely would be buying. If I'm 30 years old, I'm still buying some of these major keys. There's no question in my mind. Zero. A lot of people still buy 80s, they buy 90s books right now because also I think a lot of people grew up with those characters, like those books. So they want them back in their collection because they're nostalgia, but they're also inexpensive. And money's playing a factor right now in the collectible space. And people are spending more money on Pokemon, on Courtyard IO, on all the gambling stuff, the blind bags. And I got to tell you this, I'm not a blind bag guy, but I really enjoy Mark Spears' art, and I'm a big monster guy. I know I've said that before on the channel with Fangoria, Creepshow, all the stuff I grew up with in the 80s, horror movies. So this resonates with me, these universal monsters. I also grew up loving one of my favorite movies as a kid is The Monster Squad. Wolfman's Got Nards. So like I like really am attracted to the characters in these books. The storyline so far has been okay. So, but the cover art by far is amazing. And that's what people want. And the prices are right for these things. And that's why I went out and got some myself as well. It's a great thing for the hobby. I think, the gambling aspect of the comics right now is not always the greatest thing for people, but when they're inexpensive, I think it's great because that's the way to go because everybody can get involved. When you end up having to spend like $200 and you're gambling, that's a lot of money. All right. If you're spending $6, you know what? That's a little bit easier on the wallet. It's a little bit easier on everybody else. And it's something that's really hot right now. Mark Spears is actually a great guy. See him on Beyond Wednesdays every week for the most part. And Brian and his crew is actually coming on tonight at 10 o'clock. So make sure you check out his channel tonight as well. One of my favorite shows right now in the comic book space. And the one thing I will say, for the people that put out good content, I think we all kind of promote each other, right? You see me promote Swaggle you've seen Swaggle promote me, all those guys. Same with, Brian. It's not because like we're all like big friends. Like I know them, but I'm not like talking to everybody every day. That's not how it is. But like, I think we respect each other's content, and that's when it comes down to. So we try to push each other to see who can do better, and that's what I think you want. And his show is right up there because there's so much insight that he puts out on a weekly basis that he think he's a must listen, and I listen to him on the way to work because I have my long drive from Jersey into New York. So make sure you go check him out tonight after we're done. Run Reefer says, let's go. Forget that Swaggle stream. I'm mighty loyal. Thank you so much. Oh, listen, I was just talking about Swaggle. He's one of my favorite guys in the community. I met him at New York Comic Con for the first time this year. We've spoken before. I've been on his channel. He's been on my channel. So we get along great. So there's no animosity there. We're all together good. There was even a little promotion he did. I was at the end of the promotion from a live stream we did on his channel. So we're all good. But I appreciate the loyalty, my friend. I am going to do a possible giveaway tonight if we can reach a goal. And I want to talk about that next before we get more into the comments. Okay. You guys know I always try to like give stuff away. Whenever I do a live, I try to do something. So it gets expensive. So I'm going to say this, $80. If we get to $80, I'm going to give the person who wins a choice of a giveaway. And I have two things, okay? Two things to give away. So the person's going to get one, but I'm going to give them a choice of what they want, okay? So if we can get to $80 tonight, that's the goal by the time we end the stream. And I think, with Patel Philippe has already got you started. He's got 2, he's got 7, he's got 9, and he's got 11. We got to get to now you got to do math. It's $69. We get $69. I'm going to give the person a choice of what they want, whoever wins. You know how I do it? I run the whole thing with the number, whoever gets the number. That's how I do it. I think it's just the fairest way to anyone's in the channel anyone in the chat at that time. It's just like, it's a fun way to do it. And then if two people get the same number, or 3 people, we do it with just those people again. So again, if you're interested, no, you don't have to. If we get to 80, we'll run it. And we were already at $11. But yeah, I really appreciate all the other YouTubers that have supported me, all the other content creators that I like their channels as well. So Horvath says UF4 is going all the way to 350. You might be right, man. I mean, we saw the high at 4,000 during the boom, and now what are we? I think I saw a copy at 850 a couple weeks back. So I don't know if we get to 350. That'd be crazy. Imagine that loss. Jesus, $3,700. That'd be crazy. But I think 350 is a little, maybe 500. I think 500 might be a good bounce spot, but I'm hoping we stop soon because that's bad. But I think a lot of moderns like that. But I think we also get a bounce when we see Miles show up in the MCU someday, and he will. Yeah, Jeff is talking about the TOS and Gym 83. I think they pull back, but they're not ever going to crash because they're important. I think there's also like 4,000 of each on the CG census last time I checked. So they're not rare, but they're certainly not, they're certainly not one for everybody type of thing, Run Me Through says, every Halloween, I make my family watch the Monster Squad. It's my tradition, along with Boondock Saints on St. Patty's Day. There you go. So Monster Squad, I don't if you are born in the 80s, early 80s or late 70s like I am, and you grew up watching that movie, it is pure kids and pure monster madness. Like if you were, especially if you're a male, and I was in like we had like our own clubs and we had like own things we like to talk about after school, like just the guys. That's what that movie is. It's unbelievable. It really has everything that you want from an 80s kids movie. What else? We got Creamy Fungus Official and Original. Damn, that sounds good. Happy birthday shout outs from the Philippines. What is up, man? Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. I really appreciate that, man. Horror is all I watch. I miss the 80s and all the awesome practical effects. I agree. 80s horror, there's nothing better. Who was I talking about this? It was Darth Lopez that jumped on. And don't forget, guys, if you want to jump on the chat, jump in on the stream, you're more than welcome to do so. The link is in the chat at the top. It's pinned. It's also in the description of the video. If you want to jump on, you're more than welcome. It's like I said, as long as you're respectful and we have a good conversation, I don't mind cursing at all. You know that I curse a fucking ton. Come on. Does this look infected? Says modern books right now are insane. I am watching folks shop $400 to $500 for variants and exclusives on streaming platforms. I'm glad you brought this up with streaming platforms because I don't remember who I was talking to today. It might have been somebody from Elite, and we were talking about other platforms to buy books. I don't remember. It might not have been. I don't remember who it was, but you know, the streaming sites like the Whatnots, the eBay Lives, and stuff like that. It's just madness because listen, I love the art too. I love the art and all the modern books that are coming out. I want to say right now that the modern art that's going on right now is the best art that's ever been done in comics. There's no question in my mind. It's unbelievable. But I said this the other day to somebody that the books they're putting out, there's no content inside the books. Like the books that are getting reprinted with all these variant covers for the most part, not all of it, but for the most part, it's all about just about cover art. There's no interior substance. So eventually they all pull back, every one of them, unless there's interior substance. So I want people to take that in consideration. I'm not saying you shouldn't go out and buy the art because you should, because it's amazing. But just you got to be mindful of what you spend. Patel says, name 2 attainable grills consider better than AF-15. To me, there's no better grill than AF-15. So I'll say that right now. If I'm going to buy one book in the comic book market, it's AF-15, and it's all day long, no question. Spider-Man is the most popular character. I think he has the most long-term stability because I don't see kids growing up nowadays. They still love Spider-Man, whether they read comics or not. Okay, there's no question. Down the line, how many kids that love Batman? I love Batman. I grew up with Batman. I grew up with Spider-Man. But how many kids that love the Hulk? How many kids that love the X-Men? Some kids maybe like Wolverine, but keep that in mind. Spider-Man there's no limit to age. So that's why I think I'd rather own AF-15 than anything else. To me, I've always just loved the character and what he stands for. I love Batman too, but that's a different story. And not everybody can afford the first appearance. So that's the next thing. Most of us can't. Horvath says, I like Swaggelhaus, Mint Hunter, Stinky Goose, C3. What's C3 and a bunch of others? Comic YouTube is great. Who's C3? I probably know them, but you're probably abbreviating it, so I don't know who C3 is. So somebody let me know who C3 is. Swag, I think, is the best comic book YouTuber. I actually thought about doing a video, but I didn't want to leave anybody out of my top 5 comic book YouTubers. And I'm talking about like Comics Explained, guys who like run down the history of comics because they're going to blow everybody out of the water because their content is unbelievable. I'm talking about people who actually talk about the market, and people who talk about the books, weekly stuff, stuff that goes on, every week in our industry. I would like to do that video, but at the same time, I think I'd be leaving too many people out. Mint Hunter does a great job. Very entertaining. He's also from Jersey, but he's from like southern part of Jersey, so more towards like the Philly area, where I went to college, by the way. So I would love to meet him. Sticky, of course, I know, and a bunch of others. JSS Brooklyn with the $20 super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that, my friend. Really, really appreciate that. And then we have another one from Jeffrey Fonzo right behind him. Another $20 super chat. Splurge on a Big Mac value meal on your birthday. Thank you, my man. I really appreciate that one. So we're almost there already, man. What do we got? I got to count them up. Give me a second. What do I say? 40, 42, 44, 49, 51, 53. We're at 53. So we got $27 if we want to get there. And again, it depends. Really, it depends what you like. That's why I got two things to give away. I'm going to let the person pick. So you may not like one, you may like the other, but JSS Brooklyn says, remember Invisible Man published an empty book. Get it? Invisible Thoughts. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of gimmicks out there. And it shocks me sometimes how many people go for that type of shit. Because that I don't understand. Not at all. Not one bit. Stuff like that. But to each his own. I don't like coming on here and tell people what to buy. I don't like coming on here telling people what they should or shouldn't do or what they should and shouldn't like. So I don't like doing that. But I can only tell you my experiences. And usually those type of gimmicks don't get value in the end, or you end up losing in the end, where like we talk about the gimmicks of blind bags. It really depends on the price point. I think a $6 blind bag to me is a pretty fair deal, especially for the art that you're getting. And as someone who's really hot right now, I'm on the record saying that I think Mark does too many covers, right? It's almost oversaturated a bit. But when you do stuff like a blind bag, it makes it a little bit more fun, a little bit more, kind of open to everyone. So I do enjoy that. And I think he's doing a great job. Actually trying to get him on the podcast, but it's been really difficult. Keep It Comics with C3. Okay, so I'm not familiar with that. See, somebody send me their YouTube link and I'll check them out, because I don't get to, like, YouTube doesn't recommend me everybody, unfortunately. I found some really great channels recently. Like, to me, one of my favorite channels is Still 35 Cent. He's one of the members here at the channel, actually, and he does a fantastic job. He's from Australia. He's done some really great edited content. And I absolutely love it. That's a guy to me who should have more subscribers. He should have more people watching his videos. So shout out to 35 Cent. We've spoken before. Does a great job. He reminds me of me when like I was at his level of, he's actually better than me. Like the editing of his videos, the putting together of his stuff. He's better than me at that point where he is now. So I think he's doing a fantastic job. Go check out 35 Cent. Still 35 Cent. All right, Comics Curing Cancer, I'm very aware of. I didn't know that they were C3. Okay, now I understand that. Okay, Christina, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's it. All right, 1024, 1026. I got you. Now, I know I'm very familiar with Comic Curing Cancer, 100%. MJ just posted something on his thing. They're going to be doing a big thing with Mark Spears, so make sure you check that out as well. Another guy that I love in this community, even though he's on Swaggalos's channel tonight, bro. So, no, all love, man, all love. Christina, thank you for popping in. I really appreciate that. Does this look infected with another $10 super chat? So we're at $17 right now. We're at $17. I love the content and every video you put out. When I started back to collecting your videos, helped me from making some horrible comic investments. I think we've all made horrible comic, even myself. You guys know that. I talk about it all the time. I make terrible decisions. We all do it. It's just part of collecting. It's just that you kind of have to, at some point, I said this a bunch, that when you do make a bad decision, sometimes I think it's best to just cut it free and free your mind to make good decisions after that. Because what happens is if you hang on to something you think is a bad decision, it kind of eats at you and eats at you. And then you're afraid to make a move. You're afraid to do anything else. You're afraid to be, yourself. And then you don't want that either. So that's why I think it's a good thing to kind of cut things loose as well. Run Me Through says, now I just watched the MILF Hunter. Content is better too. The old school MILF Hunter. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. Run Me Through. Let me know if you know who I mean. The old school guy who did it back in the fucking 2000s. That guy was amazing. He was hysterical too. Hysterical. I really appreciate it. I really do, guys. He's awesome. I don't know why people don't flock to his channel, because his stuff is amazing. We're going to do something together eventually. We got, we got to just think of everything. That's the big thing with content creation and comics and collectibles, is like you have to come up with the idea first. The idea is the main thing, and then you can kind of do something and kind of formulate it around each other. Yes, Mark Spears will be appearing on the MJ Comics for the C3 event. 100%. MJ shared that yesterday. I actually reshared it so people could see it. Hopefully I'll be able to get on the thing depending on the time. He usually does stuff at like, I may be sleeping at the time, but I plan to be on it. This is a great point by Jeffrey Fonzo. Nobody bats 1,000. We all make mistakes buying some comics. There's no question. Especially when you buy the larger comics, the more expensive things. There's no question. Absolutely no question. No question whatsoever. It's tough. So while I have you guys, and I'll keep answering any questions you guys want, but I wanted to show you some stuff that, and we got to still collect the blind bag. So we're going to do that in a minute. I want to show you some of my most cherished things in my collection. Okay. I'm not going to show you everything because I'd take out the whole room here, but I showed you this that I just picked up from Zap, and they're the best. If you guys are on the East Coast, they do a lot of shows. They are the most fairly priced place you're going to find. There's no question. There's zero question. I guarantee you, if you walked in the shop or you saw them in a show, they were at New York Comic Con. They do King Kong. If you go there every year in Central Jersey, they're the best. No one can ever sway me from that. Okay. So shout out to Ben and Corey. But let's start with this. You guys know I'm a big Motu fan, and I showed this on my channel recently that I picked this up. It's an 8-back He-Man from Mexico. Definitely something I've wanted my entire life was an 8-back. It's, made in 1982, was among was the first release in Mexico, not the first release in the United States, but the 8-back is what we really want. All right. And this is huge for me because it's something I've wanted since I was a kid, and I was finally able to pick that up this year. So that's a question that or not a question, a statement I always make to everybody out there who collects stuff is that obviously we all collect comics, but there may be other things in your life that you like. So maybe sometimes letting go of a comic that you really don't have an infatuation with, and you may want buy something that you do have an infatuation with. That's what I did. I sold a lot of my stuff and buy other things that I've always wanted. And I also pocketed some cash. So here's a copy of Action Comics number 12. Again, why is this book important to me? This book is important to me because in the interior of this book was the first preview appearance of Batman. There's about a coupon in the center of this book that shows Batman's face before Detective Comics number 27. So this is a huge part of Batman's history. I got it for a steal. It is incomplete. Okay. There's my camera. It is incomplete, and it definitely missing a couple of pages, but that coupon is in here. The cover is actually a reproduction as well, but I don't care. I bought it because of that interior Batman thing. The history is what's important to me, and I got it for a song and a dance on short boxed, and it was sitting there for a while, and I couldn't believe no one else picked it up. Maybe they didn't know what was inside it. I don't know. But regardless, to me, that was worth it. So I don't know if everybody's watched this video. This is a members video for a year now, but I think I made it public after that or talked about it. And it's this book. No, it's not a reprint. It's the real deal. It's Detective Comics number 27. Now, with that said, the cover, the first, the second, and third wraps, and the centerfold are all color copies. Okay. So it's an incomplete Detective Comics number 27. But I think I'm the sole owner of an NG Tech 27. So in a blue label, I'm the sole owner of one. So to me, like when I had a chance to buy this book, that's why I sold my Batman 1 to get this thing. I didn't care. Like this is the first appearance of Batman. I don't give a shit. Like this is the only copy I'll ever be able to afford. So when this jumped up, I knew that I had to make a move for it, and I did. And this is like this and my AF-15 are like the two books that I'd love to hang on to and pass down to my kids. That's why I own them. These are the two books that are most important to me as a human and important to, in my opinion, the comic industry. I think Action 1 you could throw in there as well, but for me personally, those are it. And the last book I want to show you guys is of course my AF-15. I've owned a lot of copies of this book, but I've said this before that me owning a copy signed by Stan was incredibly important. His greatest creation, I think one of the greatest comic creation of all time, was this character and what he stands for and what he's gone through. Same with Batman. They go hand in hand, and that's why they've affected me so much. So owning this book is something I plan to pass that down to my youngest, and the detective, hopefully, to my oldest. And that's how I want to work it. So I showed you guys some of my most prized possessions. I didn't want to go nuts, take out my Thundercats and whatever. You don't need to see all that, but that gives you an inkling into me, and that's what I really wanted. So we're going to get into this. But let me just catch up on the comments, and then we'll start opening these blind bags. How crazy would it be if I hit one of those fucking those 1 out of 13 things? What are they called? The 1 of ones. I know I think 3 have been found already, or 4 have been found already. All right, so this is doing this again. I've had this problem before where my screen blows up, but that's all right. All right. Ah, there we go. I can fix it now. Maybe not. All right. Well, regardless, let's see where I caught up on the chat. I apologize. Oh my God, this freaking thing. I don't know why this does this all the time. Because I can't see the chat now. See? Jesus Christ. Give me a minute, folks. I don't know why this does this all the fucking time, but all right. All right, give me 1 second. I'm gonna reload the restream with a different, hop in on another screen, and we'll see what happens here. There. Yeah. There we go. There we go. Dude, I don't know what the fuck is going on here tonight, but there we go. We're back, and I apologize for the technical difficulties, but we're back. All right, so let me catch up on the chat. I apologize. Let me catch up on the chat. All right. Did I miss your chat? Did I miss you say you stopped watching Mindhunter? No, I didn't. Now I just watched the MILF Hunter. That's what I got. Content is better too. I saw that. That's what I saw. Is there something before that? Is Zap Comics that store in Wayne, New Jersey? Yes, it is. Why, Jeff? Have you been there before? Run Me Through says it's time to pull the trigger on a Hulk winning when the price is still dropping. I'm going to tell you this, Run Me Through. If you're going to hold for 20 years, I'm fine with buying now. I've been saying that on my channel for a while. If you're in the market for 5 years, I'm not buying any Bronze Age shit. I'm just not, because I don't know. There's so many copies out there that the prices could still drop. The more they get graded, the more that are available. I still think people are selling books at a rapid pace between IG, between Whatnot, between eBay Live, between eBay, between the Facebook Marketplace. Like, you name it, they're selling books. There's more consignment pages now. There's more live streams now, and they're growing every day. So, if you're 20 years, buy it. If you're not, I would hold off from bronze. Silver, I would kind of dip my toe back in right now, because I think they've gotten the brunt of the stuff. Thank you, Christina. I really appreciate that. I hope you guys stuck with me through that blurb we had there with the freaking video. Whether your favorite Big Four sports teams, NFL, MLB, NHL, and NBA, I can guess they're all New York teams. Yeah. Jets, Knicks, Mets, Rangers. So you got that right. So 100%, I'm a Jets fan, which long suffering for a long time. Knicks, I'm a huge Knicks fan. Huge. Ever since I was a kid. Same with the Jets. I was a big Mets fan growing up as a kid, but I haven't gotten into baseball since Mike Piazza retired. It's a different game now than it was back then. And I'm not a big hockey guy. I'm actually a Devils fan. My kids are Rangers fans though, so if that makes you feel better about your choices, but it makes sense that you would put the Rangers in there. I will say that. Thank you, Jeffrey, man. I really appreciate that. Mitch says, "Happy birthday. Thank you so much." Now we're going to start cutting these blind bags shortly. Tacoma says, my kids hope my kids won't sell that shit for a car. Knowing my oldest, he will. 100%. If he loves me at all, he won't. But if he doesn't, then he will. My youngest probably will never sell that Spider-Man. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Restream, and it like blows up the screen, and I can't see the chat or the screen at that point. So that's why I restarted it, and then I didn't realize that I didn't have my camera sharing, so I apologize. Yeah. Oh, y'all went to Swaggle Sauce. Oh my God, Tacoma Geek. Walgreens versus CVS. How do you choose? My answer to that question is go to an independent if you have an independent in your area. Fuck CVS, and Walgreens is almost finished. I'll put it that way. They're going private, and they're probably going to get sold off, just like Rite Aid got demolished. Walgreens to get broken up into pieces and sold off. That's my guess. What do you mean still blue for all? Unholy Grail, red tape, no barcode. If you know, you know. Not sure I know what the frick that means. Oh, Jeffrey says, my wife and I are from New Jersey. I've been to Zap many times. Great place, great selection, great prices. Every time we go back to visit, I make sure I stop at. Yeah, they're the best, man. There are people who come to their shop from like Pennsylvania. There are people that come to their shop from like upstate New York. So they have a reputation of being fair with prices. And I've got literally my collection here. At least half of my Spider-Man books I probably got from them. My run. Some of the bigger keys I've definitely gotten from them. No questions asked. Um, what am I sipping? Bourbon for my birthday. My mother-in-law and my father-in-law got me a bottle. So I'm trying not to drink that much anymore, but it's my birthday. So I knew I was going to do a live stream. So I wanted to come in and sip a little just for being 48. NBA starts next week. That's right. But my kids are haunting me to go to a game, but it's just too expensive right now. Tacoma, are you an RPH as well? Let me know. That'd be crazy if you were. All right, folks. I'm also going to remind you we got 17 bucks left to do the giveaway, but we're going to start cutting these bad boys open. All right, that's what everybody came to see and wish me happy birthday, which I really appreciate. But let's go. Let's effing go. Let's see what we get. And like I said before, I love Mark Spears and I love his art, so I want to support him. I want to support Keen Spot as well because they're a smaller, distributor or not distributor, you know. All right, so here's one, The Monster and the Wolf, number 1. We got that cover. So that cover is, man, there's a lot of the covers. Oof. All right, so it's A65. This is not, it looks like it's black and white, but it's not. It's A14 and A44. I don't know what the hell, I guess one's a foil. Yeah, the A44 is a foil. So we got to look inside the book for the thing, and first hit we did not get it, but really cool cover. Dracula on his throne with the heads of all the monsters behind him. Love that. There's a couple of covers that I really wanted. You guys know me, I'm a Garbage Pail Kids guy, so he did 2 Garbage Pail Kids covers which I really liked. They're not worth anything, but I like having things Garbage Pail related themed. And if you are a Garbage Pail Kids collector, this Friday I'm sitting down with the owner of gpk.com, and we talk about his love for Garbage Pail Kids and my love for Garbage Pail Kids. So that's going to come out on Friday on the podcast. Really, really great fun time with Matt. That's his name. Go check out gpk.com. All right, next up. All right, so we got the Halloween Trick or Treater cover, which I know I've seen this one before. So this one is, man, I got to go all the way down the list to find this one. Oof. Where the hell is this one? Oh, there it is. It is A not A09. A09. And again, we're gonna look for this coupon, and unlikely that we're gonna pull that, but all good. Very cool cover. All right, I got 5 of these. So if you didn't know, we got 5. So 3 more. Again. All right, so this is one of my least favorite covers. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've seen other people pull this one. I am not a fan of this one at all. But it's got a nice rack, which is great. I love that. But not a fan of this cover. This is A03. So again, now we're gonna look for this coupon. And we have struck out again, which is okay. But we need one of these monsters. These really great monster covers. Come on, like the red one with the dude's face on it. I loved the wolf cover. I loved. I'm not a huge foil guy, so I don't care if we pull a foil. But the garbage pail kids cover would be one that I would love. But like Mark said on the Beyond Wednesdays podcast, like trading is going to be one of those things. So again, one that like not one of my favorite covers. So I'm not having a good pull here, guys. But a cool cover, but not one that I'm going to write home about. Which one is this? This is A10. A10 cardstock. Cool cover. And I usually like the plain covers, but let's see if we can hit. No hit. All right. We got one more. We got one more. So let's bless this quickly. Sign of the cross over the book. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. This feels a little harder. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. Feels a little harder on the top. Don't think that means anything, but thank God we haven't got any doubles yet. That's the one thing, right? We got one. Freaky Frank coming home. GPK. So this was a hit for me because I'm a big GPK fan. So love this one. I just need to get the Wailing Wolfie now. Get that in the collection. But this is one of the covers I definitely wanted. So ultra cool. Let's check it just to make sure there's no ticket in here. Gonna check every page just in case. But the interior art is really, really nice. They told us to check every page, so that's what I'm doing. No luck, but happy to own the GPK cover. So we're a hit with one of them. So that was cool. So again, I still think the blind bag thing, for the most part, if they're done right and they're done on the cheap, is the way to go right now. If to help some of these LCSs, to promote Mark Spears, stuff like that, his artwork is really just out of sight. So that was cool. Not gonna lie. So let's catch up on the chat here. There you go. Jay says Unholy Grails, the tickets are referred to. Unfortunately, no Unholy Grails for us. That would have been cool as shit. Variant covers seem like they have a small shelf life. Like say you get the Chase comic from the Monster and the Wolf bag. Nobody will care about it once Ultimate Endgame bags come out. True, but I will say this. Some of these Mark Spears covers have gone insane. Like I had the number 1 issue that was a homage to Amazing Spider-Man number 129. Dude, I paid $100 for that book and literally sold it for 600. So some of these are going to hold value. Again, depends how many were printed, depends how many will be for sale, but there are a few of them out there that are really. It just goes to show you how hot Mark Spears is right now. And the easiest thing I can compare it to is if you were growing up in the 1990s and you saw the Todd McFarlane craze, which Spider-Man 1 when he started that title, people were going nuts with all the 4 issues that they released for that book, between the silver, the gold, and the plain, 3 issues, and then later on we got that green color. That was all the rage. People going crazy for those books, the X-Men number 1s. That's what this feels like with Mark Spears stuff. So Very, very similar to that. And those artists, those craze between McFarlane, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, the whole, Image crew, even though, they kind of did their own thing after the fact. That's what this whole thing with Mark Spears feels like. So I don't think he's going away. Let's put it that way. I feel like he's got lasting power, and his style of artwork is very, very popular. And I do think he's going to be around, and he's extremely popular right now. I bought 2 blind bags, opened on and got a bride cover, going to keep the other one sealed for the eternity. Yeah, I thought about doing the same thing, man. Like, you know what? Well, should I just keep them? And then, like, if they never find one of these unholy grails, that's what happens with like card packs, right? GPK1, you can find sealed packs. They go for ridiculous amounts of money because you don't know what you're going to get in them. And if one of these unholy grails don't ever get found or don't ever get claimed, these packs that are still out there are just going to rise in value. That's what's going to happen. Yeah, I believe it, man. I don't know why my camera keeps doing that. Those are going to be unbelievable. I want to see what those are going to be worth when they come up for sale. Those one of ones, 100 grand, 10 grand, 50 grand. Anybody's guess? I don't know. Tacoma Geek says those were the toys that got me into comics as a kid. You talking about the Garbage Pail Kids? What are we talking about? The toys that got you into thing. I'm newest to your live streams, but the few shows I've watched got me to getting into books, toys, G.I. Joe, Mask, and Moto. Good. That's what this is about. Tacoma, you don't mind me asking how old you are? I want to see if you're around my age. I also want to know if you're a pharmacist, because that's what you said you better start looking for a job. That's why I asked. You got a great picture of a dog there. Oh, you know what? I think on the last live stream, you told me you were taking care of your dog. I don't know if that was it or not, if that was you or if that was somebody else who was sick. Patel Philippe said he pulled a blank sketch cover from my bag today. All right, that's cool. Somebody got one. It was like, why do I want a sketch? I want one of his great covers, which that I understand too, because some of the covers on these things were absolutely fantastic. I don't think there's a Killing Joke homage. That would be cool if there was. I'm looking at the back cover. I don't see a Killing Joke homage. I thought he had a Killing Joke homage already that he did for one of his books. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought he did it already. Did a Killing Joke homage to one of his covers. He did. He did. I don't know if it's issue 3 or 4. It's a black background with the guy with the hat. 100% he did it. I think I have it actually too. Yeah, regular issue. There you go. His artwork is incredible. Absolutely incredible. See, Patel Philippe says he likes the foil. I'm one of the people who don't like the foil covers. I don't know what it is. I just don't like it. I'd rather see a regular cover. I think so you hit it right on the head here, Jeff, that he's energized your collecting this year. And that's because the hobby needs something new. I said it at the end of last year on Swaggle live stream that new books were going to take the forefront for the most part of this year, and it really has. And I think Mark Spears is a big part of that. And I don't see that slowing down. Vintage, I think, is not picking up. I don't think we're losing that much in value, but I do think that people are less interested in vintage than they are now. And the more the blind bags that come out, the more that the gambling goes on with the Courtyard IO, and the more that the artists like Mark Spears are out there that are getting this energy into the community, like the Absolute series from DC, same thing. People absolutely love that story. I was talking to my guys at my LCS, Zap Comics. They were saying anything right now that is Absolute Batman or Invincible is incredibly hot. That's what is on fire right now. So, it's all modern. It's all modern. So, to an extent, I think that's good. It really is, because I think the new collector can't jump in buying $1,000 vintage book, right? Then nobody's going to do that. If you're not, a seasoned collector, you're not going to just jump in with both feet and say, "Let me just buy this." But so that brings people in, and the more they learn, the more they get taken to certain characters. That's how they go on to maybe hopefully collect some of the vintage. Yes. Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate it, man. Go eat some dinner. Enjoy. Have a good weekend, my friend. Doesn't Mark Spears a bit computer generated too? Like he pencil sketches and he does 3D models and a lot of digital printing, yet painting. Yes, panels seem kind of digital to me, unlike a more hand drawn feel. I think he definitely does something with, you know, computer generated art, but I do think a lot of I do know he does a lot of the pencils themselves, and he kind of may probably colorize a lot, but so does a lot of artists. His is definitely different, no question about it. But I also think it's very unique. People like that style of art. So Mark Spears' popularity reminds me of Dave Stevens. I'm 50. The problem with Dave Stevens, everybody loves him, but I feel like his stuff was very short lived. Like what's the word I'm looking for? The the craze was very short lived. Tell me if I'm wrong, but that's how it feels to me. Yes. Oh my God. Pharmacy tech at Walgreens, brother. I do not envy you one bit, my friend. Sorry. People are buying modern heavily right now. Also, other collectibles are hot too. That's the thing with vintage, like right when people have moved into other collectible space, Pokemon, right? Obviously, the sports card industry has been hot for a while, starting to pull back a little bit, but the modern comic market is what's hot right now, but not vintage. It's like been there, done that. I also still think people are afraid from what happened in the comic boom. After 15 years at Disney Corp and 10 at Microsoft, I needed a fresh start away from it. Instead, I chose a profession to see someone take a shit in an aisle. I'm glad you're watching by some of my live streams, my friend. I appreciate that. Yeah, retail's tough, bro. It's not worth it. Not worth it. I will say this. At the end of the year, at the beginning of next year, I plan to do something else. I think we're gonna close our doors. Um, after doing this for 25 years, and I want to try my hand at something else. So whether it's in the comic space or something else, we'll see what happens. But I don't know. Definitely want to try my hand at something else. Patel says vintage will stay afloat for maybe another 20 years. Guys like us in our 40s still are at the peak of income for a while, but then it may start to sink unless the youngins somehow get interested. I'm hoping the youngins maybe who are getting into the modern coverage now, maybe they go back and see what's important in the longevity of comics, and we'll find out if some of these books hold their value or not. You know, let's talk about Mark Spears, 5 years down the line, how these some of these books are doing, right? It's been a year. I hope he has long-lasting success. I love his art. He seems like a great guy. But to have you want to have influence, right? How has Spider-Man influenced us? How has Batman influenced us? The Hulk, all these characters that Superman, especially, is another great example that one of the greatest influences in the world, pop culture. How are these characters that are being put out there, not just by Mark Spears, by all these other comic book artists and writers and these DC, Marvel, and Independence. How are these characters going to influence us going forward? And that's what's going to make the decision on whether these books hold value. Nothing else. And characters like Spider-Man, Wolverine, Batman, they have influence over us. And that's why there's value to their comic books, to their first appearances, I should say. Because I always talk about first appearances, like whether it's a toy, people want to talk about like buying G.I. Joe #1, all those the 80s nostalgia books. To me, their first appearances were the toys and the cartoons before they hit the comics. So where's the true first appearance? I always say I'd rather go out and the first appearance in the toy line than I would the comic. That's to me is the better buy. Yeah, I get it; it's more expensive, but that's why it's more expensive. So I'm not saying it's still not cool to have that you shouldn't buy it. I'm just saying if I'm going to buy something relating to a certain character, which we're talking about right now, like we're talking about these characters and influence, that's what I'm going for first. Mitch says Big Pharma is keeping these aisle shitters alive. All right, guys, it's 9:13. I've been on for like an hour and 15 minutes. I'll stay on as long as you want. Like I said, I know a lot of people have fled to go check out the other live streamers tonight, but I'm here to hang out. If you guys have other questions, you want to talk about anything else. If not, like I said, we're 17 bucks away from me doing a giveaway if you guys want. Um, That's up to you. It's your call. I just for me to give away something, I like to just like make it an even swap type of thing. That's all. But no issue. Invincible, look at Invincible, modern mesh if our beloved Silver Age heroes. I think Invincible's great. And I think that may be the thing that going forward that has lasting power out of all the other stuff that's going on because of how popular the character is right now. I mean, Mark Spears put out some amazing stuff, but for the most part, it's just the incredible artwork. Invincible, there's great story, there's a great show. There's a lot of original concept in those original books that they can use going forward, for more of the show to do a live action film. So there's a lot of influence that could be put out there by the character, a whole new world actually. So I think it's something that has really long lasting power. It just needs a little bit more time. Am I going out and buy a 9.8 copy for 5 grand? Probably not. I think that's a little bit overheated. Don't get me wrong. But if a 9.8 ever got down to 3 grand, I think that's a really good spot to get in. Again, how many copies are made of that one? I want to say off the top of my head. Anybody know how many copies of Invincible 1 were printed? I want to say 6,000, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Um, so I think that's a really good one, and that's why I think it's incredibly hot right now. Um, People see something in that character they really, really enjoy. Yeah, that's a great point. Invincible is the generation's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No question. I think that's a great analogy. How many of you guys out there are TMNT fans? Like TMNT was like, yeah, I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I watched the cartoon. I loved it. I had some of the toys. Had a lot of the toys actually, but that was like later on as I was becoming a teenager. So that 80s He-Man, Transformers, Thundercats, Voltron was like my main go-to. And then TMNT came out and it was a little bit different, a little bit more edgy. Cartoon was fantastic. Then, of course, we had the movie, which was even more fantastic than that. That original TMNT movie was great. So definitely played a part in my childhood. And then you have to add the arcade game into that as well. So you take that IP, how many things did they come up with? It was never like they did have an old Master Universe game, which was terrible, unplayable. Same with Transformers, not really. I don't remember a game. Thundercats, no. Um, Voltron, no. So like TMNT was like that first real IP that had everything. Seeing the arcade, the home console games, the movie, they had everything, everything. So that was the first big IP that kind of went all over. Do I think what's a long-term hold? Invincible? If you own it already, then yeah. He says the Invincible is less than 6,000. I thought it was 6, but I could be wrong. You don't get Invincible, huh? I thought the series was great. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I haven't read too much of the comic. I thought about getting some of the either the trade paperbacks or like the omnibus style books, but there's so many of them. So like I'd have to buy like all of them just to get caught up, and that's a lot. That's very, very like I'm putting a lot of work into reading all that if I'm going to do it, and I don't have the time. I'm not gonna lie to you. Have you ever witnessed at any of these cons someone going up and dropping a suitcase full of cash for books priced 50% above fair market value? Why do dealers play this game at cons? Dude, you're coming out with all these great questions tonight. I really appreciate that. And their super chats as well. I have never seen anybody come out with a suitcase of cash. However, I'm probably the person that has come out with a boatload of cash, and that was to buy my Tech 27. So I sold a bunch of books to buy that book. And I went there and met someone with cash, and we went to like a back room and did the deal that way. And we had a great story though. I met the collector, and there was a broker in between us that took care of both of us. But it was a great conversation about the history of the book, some of the other books he was there to buy. So that to me is almost as important as buying the book itself. So I have never seen someone outside of myself go with some cash and buy a book like that. I haven't. But some of these bigger cons, it's too busy. I don't know if people actually do that. They show up with a ton of cash and be like, whatever. I will say this. The guy that I bought the Tech 27 from, he was there to buy an Action Comics number. Oh no, I'm sorry. He was there to buy another Tech 27, a restored copy, a big, big book that was way more than this. So it was a complete book, whatever. He was trading up. So it made sense for him to do it and meet me at New York Comic Con and buy the book, the other book he was getting there. So it made sense. But I didn't witness his deal, but he was telling me about it. That why do they play the game of being books being overpriced? I can't answer the question, but I will say this. Are they taking advantage of people who don't know price? Maybe. I don't know that for sure. I don't know what some of these dealers are into for some of these books. Maybe they paid full price and they have to mark them up. I don't know. But if they're able to hold on to these books till they get their price that they want, then they could list the price for whatever they want, right? A lot of these bigger dealers, especially that been in the game for a long time, they have a lot of equity. They can hold on to the books. They can ask, especially the books that are more rare, like some of the golden age books. They can ask whatever they want because you can't just go everywhere and buy them if someone is seeking out those books. Now, with that said, I'm a personal believer of if you're going to buy a big golden age book, it's got to be a key appearance. I don't want to spend a lot of money on a book that's not a first appearance or not an amazing classic cover or something along those lines. I just don't see the value. I don't see it. So with that said, with the innovation of Instagram comic sales, with the innovation of whatnot, eBay live streams, there's a lot more avenues for people to buy books. So I would say to the collectors who do that, do you want to move books? Do you not want to move books? Uh, Maybe they want to move certain books. Maybe they just want wall pieces. I don't really know why they do it. At the end of the day, some overprice their books, hoping that someone will make an offer and they'll just take the offer so the person feels good. They feel like the person got a deal, that they feel like they got value for the book as well. It's all a game. 100% it's a game. So that's, I think, why. Unfortunately, I don't have a real answer. I would love to have a big, big time, comic dealer come on the channel and talk about that. I don't know if anyone actually would want to give that their reason into doing so because they would look bad, but I've asked a couple of bigger dealers to come on and they've refused. Not they refused, they said that they were too busy type of thing. So one big dealer I would really love to have on, but he said he was too busy to kind of come on and he turned down a bunch of podcasts and stuff like that. So I get it. But the one thing I'll say is that when you endear yourself to this community, I think good things happen. I've always said that. If you That's why I love my LCS and I can't sing their praises enough. If you endear yourself to your community, you have good prices on your books, you're willing to work with people, you give people fair deals, you treat them with respect, you help them out, and in turn, the customer does the same thing. You show up and if you have a pull list, you go pick up your books. If you go and you buy a wall book, if you see something you like, you go and you have a conversation. That's what this community is about. And I think the good dealers and the good shops, they understand that and they do that. And that's why at any chance I get, I try to support those people. I'm not saying I do it all the time, but because I'm not made of money, but anytime I see a, a fairly priced key that I want to own from LSAS, I'll always ask like, how much is this? What are you asking for this book? What's the grade on this book? And I'll share their posts, do stuff like that because I know how good they are. And I also want to help everybody out there. Helmut says, "I love Voltron. Voltron was awesome. The theme of Voltron to me is like one of the greatest experiences in '80s cartoons. Dun, 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 dun. Awesome. 5 lions coming together to form one giant robot. Tremendous. They're going to come out with a movie. Henry Cavill is going to be in that movie. So looking forward to that one as well. Invincible story is solid and it's worth watching over and over. It definitely is, no question. Like I said, I haven't read much of the comics, but I have watched the series and it's fantastic. E.T. Atari game was a hit. No, it was not. Buried in a landfill. I got to tell you something, man. When I was a kid, playing that game got me like so frustrated because I didn't know how to play it. I didn't know what the fuck the point it was of the game. Other games for the Atari 2600 was like All right, Pitfall, got to get to the end, got to get the treasures, got Jungle Hunt, swing through the vine, whatever. Cubert, hit the cubes, change the colors. No point did I understand what the fuck to do with that game. And that's what the issue was, right? That's what the issue was. And that's why there's 400,000 and then buried in a landfill somewhere, they say. They made a whole movie on that, by the way. Tells us the only reason that makes sense is wall pieces or marketing. Brings people to the booth for people to buy regular books. Yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, it could be that. I just don't see I don't see the point of having wall candy. There's enough books out there. I want to move books. I want to make money. That's like the whole point of being like a dealer, right? Is to make money. They don't want to sell those books, but if someone's willing to pay, they will sell. I mean, what book would you not want to sell? I can understand if you have a Tech 27 or Action 1, Superman 1. Maybe you don't want to sell those books. I get it. Everything else, there's plenty of them to go around. So if they're going to buy it from your booth or go to someone else's booth to buy it, why would you not want them to come to your booth? Case in point, I mean, I'm not going to speak for any other booth out there, but like my LCS sold an AF-15 at New York Comic Con. So if there's a booth out there that has a 2.0 AF-15 priced at overpriced and my LCS is a 2.0 priced at the correct price, who do you think is selling? The one that's priced right. So do they not want to sell the book? You may be right. I don't see why anyone in their right mind would want to do that when there are a plethora of them out there. If there wasn't a plethora of them out there, then you could ask whatever you want. Like I mentioned, Tech 27, Superman 1. Then I understand. Sales boy, what's going on, my friend? All right, we only got 9 people in the chat, so we're probably going to end this one in about 5 minutes, guys. But again, I want to say thank you to everyone out there who wished me a happy birthday. I'm glad I'm still kicking at 48. I hope I'm still healthy. Let's put it that way. And I want to thank you, everyone out there who did a super chat. Thank everybody out there who joined me for the past hour and a half, just babbling on, showing you some of my things that mean the most to me in my life. Obviously, the things that mean the most to me are my kids, my wife, my family, my father. You know, my dog who passed. Still to this day, I love him to death. I don't know if you guys saw. I don't even want to mention this, but there's somebody out there who really took aim at somebody else who owned a pet that they said they really said something really awful to them, and I took that to heart because my dog was my best friend my entire life. So I thought that was a really shitty thing to do. So whatever. I want to stay positive. So Ancient Hulk says today is his birthday too, 45. Happy birthday, brother. Believe it or not, I actually have a cousin who has the same birthday as me. So happy birthday to the 3 of us. Somebody in college that I went to has the same birthday as me as well. So October 18th is definitely a great day. You want to hear something really cool? Ready for this? October 18th, 1985, I want to say is the greatest day in the history of the world. You know why? Because the Nintendo Entertainment System was released in the United States on that day, 40 years ago today. Granted, I was born 8 years before that, but regardless, I think today that day was the greatest day in history. 1985 was peak year for the world, no question. Between the movies, video games, and everything that came out, there's no question. 1985 was the pinnacle of evolution. I've said that before. Everything came out in 1985. So NES on my birthday. Tremendous. Great show. Says, doesn't look affected and always a blast. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it, guys. JSS, thank you so much for the super chat. Always supporting everybody in the community. Run me through. Just realized my chaff was censored. I said I stopped watching Mint Hunter after I found out he was an Eagles fan. Why would they censor that? That's weird. You can't stop watching him for that reason. If anything, you should stop watching me because I'm a goddamn Jets fan. How awful they are, man. Holy shit. Unbelievable. True story. That's crazy, brother. Happy birthday. Star Voyager 1988 NES. How fucking beat that game? I never played that one, unfortunately. Star Voyager. There's a lot of NES games that were pointless, especially towards the end of the run. I could talk about NES all day because that to me is an iconic system with like the most games in the history, I think, of home entertainment consoles. I gotta say, it's probably has the most. It definitely had the longest run of all these consoles. So there was a lot of games that were really fucking pointless. There were a lot of games also that not a lot of people know about that were actually really, really fun. So maybe one day we'll. I know I did a video about my top 10, but maybe we'll have to expand that list into games that people unheard of that like that were actually fantastic. That would I think would be a good video. So happy birthday. Thank you so much, Sales Boy. I really appreciate that. So, again, I want to thank everybody out there who stopped by tonight. Thank you so much for all the super chats, all the great conversations. Again, I really appreciate you guys for sticking with me. 7.5 years doing this thing. And I think we're gonna head in the right direction and do some other things that are really, really fun. Uh, I have some great ideas that I just need to kind of put pen to paper type of things. Just finding enough time in the day to kind of do all this stuff. I know nobody wants me to end like the hot 10 comics with the breakdown. Nobody, people are starting to like the other list that I put out because it's a very for collectors who have really been in the game for a long time. They're starting to understand the value of some of these other obscure keys out there and how much they mean to the history of comics. So that is starting to really pick up as well. So that is good to see. The podcast is kind of a slow go. So but I do think it's important to kind of like listen in and think about all the great stuff that we grew up with as kids or as young adults, because it does bring a good sense of, you know, nostalgia back into our lives. And I do think that is really, really important. Cross Bronx says, happy birthday, bud. Thank you for catching the end of the stream, man. I really appreciate it. Rummy through says F Razor's Comics, but I don't know if that went through either. I didn't see that either, brother. I don't know why that would be censoring you for that. But yeah, that was a shitty comment that he said. So I will support Brian in anything that he does regarding this issue because you don't do shit like that and you don't say shit like that. We can't bring them in the US. Oh, Salesboy said he's adopting a monkey. It's so sad. We can't bring him in the US. He's kind of rescued little monkey. He was a baby when he got him. Wow, that's crazy, bro. I don't think they let keep you monkey. I don't let you. I don't think they let you keep monkeys as pets anyway. But what the hell do I know? That's crazy. Cross Bronx, brother. Hopefully, I'll meet you at a show one day soon. I know we don't live too far from each other. Enjoy it. You've had a great year. Love the star power guests you've had on your show lately. Thank you so much. So again, thank you to everyone out there for joining me for a little bit. Really appreciate everyone out there. Happy birthday to me and to the other dude in the chat. I got to find you here though. Agent Hunk, happy birthday to you as well. And thank you all to kind of hang out with me and end my birthday on a great note.